It's Wednesday, and that means it's time for another video edition of Widower Wednesday. I'm Abel Keogh, author of the book Dating a Widower, and I want to share some experiences I had at a conference I attended recently for remarried widows and widowers here in Utah. I had a chance to deliver the keynote of the conference, and Julie and I also did a workshop, all of which were great and went wonderful. But what I really want to focus on isn't my remarks, but what I learned from talking to other couples at the conference. Now, first, there were about 40 couples at the conference. Julie and I were by far the longest married ones there at 21 years. Most couples had only been married maybe a few years. On the high end, there were some that had been married 7 or 8 years, and a few at the conference that had also only been married a few weeks or months. And about half the couples there were widows and widowers who had married each other, while the other half was where one person was a widowed person and the other person was divorced or never married. So anyway, at the social and during the conference, Julie and I had a chance to talk to couples and get to know them better. And by the way, I need to add that you have some really interesting conversations with people when you're at these types of conferences. But really what I was curious to know was how the couples managed a successful marriage with all the extra issues that come with dating and marrying a widowed person. And nearly universally what they told me is that there are two things that I talk about in coaching sessions all the time, but this is what led to successful marriages for them. And the first is that you have to make your new spouse number one. Nearly all of them struggled at first with figuring out how to do this, as did Julie and I, but they all said once they figured out how to make the new person feel like they weren't competing with a ghost, the relationship took off and got stronger. Every couple was different in how they did this and how much of the late spouse or spouses are part of their marriage, but they also said that when they focused on the present and the future instead of the past, the relationships of their marriages were much better off for it. And the second one deals with adult children and others, such as family and friends, who maybe aren't on board with the widowed person, not only dating, but getting married again. And again, what I heard repeatedly from these couples is that they had to set healthy boundaries with their kids or others who weren't happy that mom or dad was dating or getting married again. Now, even though this was difficult because they loved their kids, they did it because they valued their marriage first. And the good news is that at least when it came to any children, especially adult children, that most of the adult children have come to accept the new relationship and marriage, but they had to do it on their own time and work through their own issue. And if it wasn't for setting boundaries, this wouldn't have happened. Now, if you're familiar with my videos, you know that making your current love number one and setting healthy boundaries are things I routinely talk about. So it was nice to see examples of this in action from other happily married couples, and also hear how doing this led to the overall success of their marriage. Now, overall, the conference was a great experience, and I was glad I had a chance to talk to these couples and get to know them. And it was wonderful to know, too, that especially if you're dating a widow or widower, or you're widowed yourself, that you can have a happy and successful chapter 2, and I am looking forward to attending the conference again next year. I'm Abel Keogh, author of the book Dating a Widower. If you want to book a coaching session or read my books, you can do so at the links in the video in the description, and I will see you all next Wednesday.